here. So I would like to introduce our speaker. Ben Stone is the director of the Sonoma County Economic Development Board. He's appointed in 1986, and he's responsible for the Board of Supervisors for various activities. The Economic Development Board is responsible for business relocation retention services, economic sector research forecasts, green business programs, and the Environmental Alliance, as well as the Sonoma County Tourism Bureau contact. And there's a variety of other services. I am familiar with Ben just from his State of the County addresses that happen, I believe, quarterly. And whether it's doom and gloom or whether it's good news, Ben keeps his finger on the pulse of it. He's involved in a lot of community service and sits on numerous boards and commissions. And there you go. So please welcome our Ben Stone.
Thank you very much, Want me over here? All right. Good morning to you all. Great to be here. One of the mainstays for me is I go around to the Rotary Clubs. Whenever I come here, I know I'll always see Bruce Camp. Bruce, how long have you been a member? How long have you been a member, Bruce?
Since the start of this club, it'll be 35 years since October.
Just amazing. Maybe that's your wife too. You guys are usually together.
She slept in this morning.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, it's good to be back. Got lots of good news about the economy for you. I think we can be very optimistic. I'll show you why, and then take your questions at the end. We can't tell. So just go on to the next slide, given our time. Just to let you know that we're really seeing a big change. What's our unemployment and now? Anybody know what the unemployment rate is? 5.3. A couple months ago, we were 5.0. So we are seeing a big change. We're one of the fastest growing in jobs in the entire state of California. So that bodes well, I think, for businesses, people are going to work. We're seeing, you see during the recession, Sonoma County was the green line. We were above the national average in unemployment, and now we're below the national average. Why would we have been above the national average in unemployment for a good part of the recession? Hospitality, what else? Construction. Everybody got into deep and then what? Hotel occupancy rates, we're setting, we are out competing all the other counties we compare ourselves with in terms of occupancy. As you can see, it's been very strong. What's good occupancy for a hotel here? Yeah, 60, 65, again, so we're close to 75%. Phenomenal. And as people have gone back to work, you'll see our employment, consumer confidence there is the orange line. You can see as people feel more confident they're traveling, and we're seeing that in the jobs in the tourism industry. 1 in every 10 jobs in Sonoma County is in hospitality, including restaurant staff. Next slide. And for Ken's benefit and others, while we're seeing improvement demand for local wines, enjoying Pinot Noir this year, we are seeing that that's coming up very strong and bodes well for the future. Next slide. And looking ahead to 2020, you can see we're going to have lots of more new jobs being created. Why is construction shown as having such a big increase percentage-wise?
The train.
The train.
The highway. Pent-up demand.
Yes, we were down so low, but it's so when it, liars figure and figures lie. You have to kind of keep that in mind. But we are seeing more jobs here. Services will be growing. Health, the health sector will be growing. So we'll see lots of jobs coming back over the next several years. I think kind of the takeaway is tourism is up. Wine production and sales are up. Unemployment's down. Cost of business, we are below the national average. Never thought I'd see that in Sonoma County. We are 2% below the national average for the cost of doing business. So that bodes well for our economy. We do a report on cities around the county every year. So this is your city of Sebastopol. I mean, you can get the whole report on our website, but I'll just give you some highlights here. Unemployment in Sebastopol, you usually have the lowest rate in the entire county. Why is Sebastopol's unemployment so low? Retired people. We've got some cash crops to work in, maybe. And you can see you've got a pretty diverse, a lot of people working in health and education. Pretty diverse economy there in terms of where people work. slide. Your household income is going to be growing. We do forecasts over the next several years. Household income in Sebastopol will be growing over the next several years, so that's a good sign, particularly if you're in retail. Many of the people here, real estate, financial services, all that's good news. We do a chart here just so you can compare your Sebastopol with the rest of the county. And the blue is the price, and then the black line there is the number of homes that are sold. So you'll see Sebastopol's to the right there, kind of the lighter blue bar. You're probably a little below the average in the number of homes sold, but you're above average in terms of price. So it's a pretty sweet spot. What do you think, David? Is that a pretty good representation of what you see going on? And your consumer spending in Sebastopol is pretty diverse. A lot of it goes to housing. About a third of the average dollar here, the consumer dollar, goes to paying this housing costs. You have 20% below the national average for apparel. Why would you spend less than the national average for apparel?
No place to buy it.
Just look at us, man.
What did you say?
Rainbow Drive.
Rainbow Drive, okay.
Yeah, because of the position for the car.
Pardon me?
Yeah, hemp clothing.
Hip clothing.
Yeah.
Hemp clothing. Okay. Well, I think probably that's all probably true, but also, I grew up in the Northwest, and we had 4 kids growing up. And my mother used to, in the fall, we had to go out and get winter clothing. She had to get 4 sets of 4 or 5, because we'd always lose parkas, hats, new sizes, and growing. People don't do that in California. There's really, you can wear clothes all year round. Where in a good part of the country, you're having to buy your summer clothes or your winter clothes, some to send your spring and fall. So, but overall, you're very balanced spending. Next slide. Education. You are always right at the top. You buy with Santa Rosa High School, Annalee does, always right at the top in terms of academic performance. When companies look to relocate or expand, whether they're prime things or what are the schools like? So when they ask me, I always say one of the best school districts in the whole county is over in Sebastopol, Annalee. The kids do terrific. Things we've had a committee called the Innovation Council. They've come up with 2 big things that are looking at what businesses need. One is online permit tracking. Right now, how many of you had to get a permit? Anybody here had to get a permit? Would you like to do that again, Barbara?
When hell freezes over.
And so one of the big frustrations for people with permits is when you go in to say, how's my permit doing? What do they say?
We don't know.
We don't know. Yeah, we don't have a record. And when you say, when will it be ready? We don't know. Whatever. So with the online permit tracking, it's going to be like FedEx. So you'll get a receipt when you enter the system. You can track it from your home, from your business. And you'll be able to watch where it is every day along the route. And then you'll also be able to get, today the permit is on John Jones' desk. And here's John's phone number. A very great thing. Supervisors just funded that at $200 million because they know it's such a problem. So that'll be coming next year, and we think that'll be a great improvement. Also, we've got our first employer workforce strategy to help turn out the employees that employers need. Next slide. Things we do at the Economic Development Board. One is to do business retention and expansion visits. I'm watching the clock here, pretty good. We have a fellow that goes out on an annual basis and visits close to 200 companies every year, just to see how they're doing. These are companies that have promised, that are expanding, and let them know the services they can take advantage of in terms of employees, subsidies, that type of thing. So that's Tim's job. We've helped 3 new businesses with this. I'll get into Sonoma County last year, getting through permits, getting through regulations, so they would actually open a new business, representing 70 new jobs in Sonoma County. And he's done it all over the county, including being out in the 5th District here, out in West County. I've been out there quite a bit. Next slide. We have California's first business assistance hotline. This fellow is Ethan Brown. Ethan grew up in Sonoma County. His first 8 years out of high school, he went and worked in the Indy 500, worked in the kids back there dealing with all the excitement of that. And then decided to come back during the boom and got into home building and remodeling. And then that ended. So he went back to school. And one of my first interns, now a full professor at Sonoma State. Makes me feel old, Bruce, so I'm joining your club there. At any rate, we're caught
Jesuits prompt you to do that.
Oh, I'm putting it to wrong Bruce, okay. At any rate, we're able to get Ethan in. So I'd like to say his job is to help people get some permits when they're starting their business. Him is when you're more established, is starting a business, getting it going, where to find employees, that kind of thing. And I like to say he not only has sympathy, Ethan has empathy, because he's had to go through permits himself for 8 years. He's dealt with every permit department. He's had to deal with the banks and financing and so forth. Next slide. We've got a new business building now. Letting people know in advance what's coming up through all the public agencies and how to take advantage of it. Next slide. This is a pretty cool thing. It's called our business development program, and this is let's just say Tess wants to open a second restaurant.
All right.
And let's hope she wants to do it in Sonoma County. And she, you know, we can tell her her customers might be middle income to upper middle income. She's looking for that demographic around Sonoma County. So we can tell her where that demographic is. We can tell her if she has any competition. We can also tell her what sort of restaurant areas are available for rent and approximately what they would cost, so it's a feasible thing. And so then if she opens her restaurant, we will then provide her with a free list of mailing labels for like within to put on postcards. So I'm sure you've had it come to your house. So we have a new coffee shop in our neighborhood. We have a new restaurant in our neighborhood. We do all that for free. It's a way to help our local companies have better traction with the franchises, have a better chance to get ahead. So Tess, we hope to see you in the office. No problem. We met with 3 out in West County. We met with 3 of our emerging clusters here, growing areas. What do you think some of the growing areas in business are here? What's coming up? Pardon me?
Senior service?
Senior services.
Yeah, Barry.
Any others? Food processing? Yeah. Small scale maybe?
Bicycling services.
Bicycling, very good. So the 3 groups we had were pretty close. We had, our first group was outdoor recreation, bicycling. I think we had zip lining, and Ms. Klein was there. Looking at that sector, because that's such a growing, all different types of new ways to recreate are coming up. So we had a meeting with them, and then at noon we had, thank you for being there. And then at noon we had the small cottage foods and farmstead cheese. That's such a growing, when you go to Oliver's, for instance, and look at all the stuff that's made, it's amazing how many of these small producers. And then our last session was in the afternoon with the creative economy people. Who would be a creative economy people? Artists, theater, people making a buck, you know, the maker movement. How many of you know Chimera here? Chimera, the maker movement, all that. So we had that group, and that was the most interesting group of people. They were very definite and confident in their opinions and perspectives, and it was the biggest challenge for the facilitator to get them to come to consensus. But we came out with some, it was a very good exercise, and from that we're going to propose now forming an outdoor recreational business council to bring all the various groups, biking, hiking, all that rec sector together, strengthen numbers for them. And also, you'll see we're going to be doing a lot of work around the creative economy, forming a council and so forth. Next slide. We have a Sonoma Green Business Program. It's a voluntary program. If you want to get certified as green, more and more companies want to do that to reach out to their customers and their marketing. Next slide. And with the help of the health department, Mr. Bauer, we get a very good program here to help reach out to people who want to have companies that are voluntarily certified as healthy. Now, why would a company want to be certified as green or healthy? What's in it for them? Marketing is one aspect, and one big aspect, I think, for like, say, a company like O'Reilly, those that are competing around the country for young talent. Many of the younger people want to be in companies that are green and or healthy places to work. So we're doing this as kind of to help attract the talent attraction, they call it. Help attract the talent. They can work in Santa Barbara, they can work in London, they can work in Sydney. We'd like them to work in Sonoma County with our firm. So it's two ways to help bring talent. Next slide. We also have a program to help with non-traditional lending. This fellow came up with a kind of a novel idea. How many of you, you've gone to the grocery, we had a grocery And what do you do when that happens? You get, Barbara says she gets another one. How many people do that? This guy said, I'm not going to get another one, I'm going to fix it. I'm going to turn this problem into an opportunity. So the banks would not give him money, so we were able to get him a $7,000 microloan. He now has the contract for Whole Foods for the whole North Bay to fix the gases when they won't run. So, true entrepreneur, see a problem, turn it into an opportunity. So this was a $7,000 microloan that got him started in that business. We do a number of workshops, as Pam says. We had probably the most fun that we had last year was our craft beer conference. Anybody go to that? We planned on 250. We had 325 in the waiting list of 50, so we were repeating it this year. The best part was the happy hour at the end. People really enjoyed taking in all the wondrous brews that are made here. How many beverage companies do we have in Sonoma County? Anybody know? When we started this, there were 18. By the end of last year, there were 31. So it's just phenomenal. What's our biggest draw in terms of beverage choice? Russian River. What's going on in Russian River? Line of the Younger. Yeah. We were able to get in there and do some surveying. We figured they bring in several $1 million into the county. 13,000 tourists come from 5 different countries we would find. These are England, Canada, Japan, Germany, Coles to Newcastle. They're coming to drink beer here. It's just amazing. So we'll be repeating that again in February. Next slide is our new project we've got coming up now is looking at our next economy. What is the next economy? Everybody's nodding to that, okay? I'm getting more mellow. Yeah, it's Sebastopol. Yes?
Assisted living.
Assisted living, you bet. Well, I think the point is we think what we're going to do is no one really knows what's coming up in any organized way. So we'll be working with primarily people from the next generation. This fall, we'll be bringing in futurists, the long-range planners from corporations and from government, to lay out what they're planning in our major sectors here, tourism, wine, food, and so forth, along with things like workforce. And so we begin to take a long-range look at what's coming up and how we can get ahead of it. So that's one of our big projects coming up. Next slide. We'll be hiring a bilingual business development officer to reach out to companies who are, how many high-standing companies do we have in Sonoma County, do you know? 5,000 that we've been able to count. How many total businesses do we have in Sonoma County? Around 20,000. So at least probably a quarter to 20% of the businesses already are Hispanics. We want to reach out to them to be successful. So that's coming up. I mentioned our creative economy discussion we had at our focus group a few months ago. And so that's led to a program. We will be forming an arts council. There was an old arts council that's kind of gone the way, so we'll be forming a new arts group. We'll be hiring a full-time director to work both with the cultural economy of the arts, the nonprofits, which we have many nonprofit organizations, but also to look at the for-profit side, particularly people like, any of you know Dan Whitman? Dan Whitman? He'd be a great speaker sometime. He's got this Chimera. People know Chimera? Oh, you got to have him. Isn't he great? That's a fabulous thing, the maker movement. So reaching out to the people that are making money in the arts, finding arts and technology, that kind of thing. So we also want to do more cultural tourism, get people here in the off-season when they think Sonoma County is a wine center and a food center. Also think of it as a cultural opportunity, particularly in the fall. Next slide. We've got a new program, got a grant to try and create more low-income people to become entrepreneurs. In the first 3 months, we've got 5 people now as entrepreneurs and $40,000 worth of loans. So it's a different way to kind of help people in distress get Now, another book we'll be forming will be an agricultural business development council. Our ag is really our basis of Sonoma County. It's so important. We've got a lot of great ag groups, but they often operate in silos. The idea is to bring all of them together and kind of strengthen numbers where they need around workforce, permits, and so forth. A chance to really work together. Next slide. So we'll be having conferences next year around outdoor recreation and biking. Maybe we can even put a zip line in the facility somehow, give people a mini ride, I don't know.
If you can give me a permit for that.
Yeah, but you can track it.
Also around the creative economy and craft beverages, so all those will be conferences coming up, basically the first time this year. We also will be repeating our restaurant week. How many of you took part in restaurant week last year? Anybody put up your hands? Great. Want to put a shout out to Tess, because she's, her restaurant was the first one in when we first got this going. I went to the chamber and Teresa Romano said, why don't you talk to Tess? So she jumped right on. Thank you, Tess. Hope you found it worthwhile. Did you find it worthwhile thing to do? Great. So then we're having a new program to reach out to employers to help them find the employees they need, because with 5% unemployment, it's going to get tougher and tougher to find the workers people need. So we're having an outreach program for companies. Next slide. We also will have a website for improving talent attraction for engineers, tech people, all that for called Sonoma County Connections, and we'll be updating that so it's more current. Next slide. So I think those are my high points. I tried to go within